Jay from Virginia. What's up, Jay?
How you doing, Clay?
Good.
I had a comment that I wanted to make, but just kind of listening to some of the topics and things that you were discussing today, it kind of changed my thoughts. You were talking about how we got involved in a bunch of unnecessary conflicts and wars, and
Hmm.
just talking about erasing history. This country has done so many things. You don't hear too many people talking about how Harry S. Truman dropped the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki,
Hmm.
killing 250,000 innocent
Mm.
people. I'm talking about mothers breastfeeding, doctors, policemen, firemen. They don't talk about how this country did that. I mean, I know we were at war, but
Mm.
wars are supposed to be fought on the battlefield between soldiers. You're not
Mm.
supposed to kill innocent individuals. And then they put Japanese people in internment camps. They
Mm.
paid 120,000 Japanese people $20,000 each because they put them in internment camps. But they won't do reparations for African Americans who were enslaved for centuries, who built this country. And they're not going to pass laws because the people that are on Capitol Hill, these are descendants of the people who owned the slaves. Thomas Jefferson wrote about how African Americans shouldn't be allowed to be in Congress because after we start taking roles of leadership, we might turn around and do the same thing to them that they did to us. And he fathered a bunch of black African American kids. So we
Hmm.
can't depend on this government, this system. We've got to step up. We've got to put some things in place ourselves if we're ever going to get justice. These laws that they pass these laws to benefit them and to protect them and their interest. So I'd like to get your thoughts on that comment.
Listen, I totally agree, and I hope I have the number right. But when you talk about Japanese reparations, I believe less than 100,000 received those reparations. If I have that number right, I just want folks to know not every Japanese American received reparations for the Japanese internment camps. I believe it was less than 100,000 that received the amount that you said. Um, yeah, so I want folks to understand that it was the people who could actually prove that their family was directly affected or they lost somebody from the Japanese internment camps, and it was less than 100,000. So I always say, even if we get these reparations, just know it'll be a very small portion of black folks who will receive it. The way you'll have to prove that you receive these reparations. I'm okay. I'm sorry. I have the number here. The number of Japanese American victims are relatively small, about 120,000, but less than 100,000 received reparations. And this was in 1988. The amount was paid from 20, relatively low, from 20,000 for each. Oh, I'm overestimating. Forgive me. It was 80,000 people who received reparations, and they all received $20,000 apiece for a total of $1.6 billion. So, again, for the Japanese Americans uh, who, the relatives who were directly affected by the Japanese internment camps, 80,000 of them received 20,000. So, I just want to be clear when we talk about reparations, if it ever happens for us, it'll be a small number. Alan, you ain't getting nothing because your family's from Haiti. So it's a wrap for you. I ain't getting nothing. I got a white mama. Damn sure ain't happening for me. I don't know. Karen, you out there? Will you make the cut? Laree, I don't know if Laree's gonna make the cut. I'm not sure. Like so it's gonna be if it ever happens. So I just want when we
First, they're
mention
not going to give out cash. They're going to give out quantitative benefits like
yeah,
schools
exactly.
and housing
Exactly.
credits. Secondly, critical race theory is not about reparations, just so people know
Right,
that.
right. But it helps to prove the case for it
It
though.
helps for
I
the
just want
case,
to
but
say
it's
that.
just about understanding why things are the way they are. It's just a,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly, exactly. But I like to always point that out because people think that every Japanese American got reparations. They think that it was a lot of money. $20,000 really isn't a lot of money. yeah. So just like to point that out, how it's a little bit, it's complicated, and we got to remember that. And so if it ever happens, very few of us are going to make the cut. I'm talking about it'll be like less than 1% of us who'll make that cut. Not saying it wasn't deserved to Japanese Americans. Of course it was. Not saying it isn't deserved to us. But it'll be very, very few.